right, Tate McRae in the house with us today. I got to start off with the jorts. This is such a staple for me. Like, I am such a big jorts fan as a guy, and I get so much hate on it. So
Do
you
you?
walking in with these is like God sent to me.
I love a jort. I wear jorts like every day.
Do you actually?
Oh, like literally, it's like a staple. I like have actually like way too many jorts in my closet.
This is like everything I've needed to hear. What about on guys though?
It it depends. Like
It's a different answer,
how
huh?
it depends on how long the jort is.
Okay.
Like I think if it's like a capri jort,
Uh-huh.
I don't know if it's as good.
Not past the knee.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, like the tightness of the jorts doesn't matter.
Yeah, go for it.
Dude, I literally I live in a house with a couple of guys. We rent a house together,
Uh-huh.
and every single time I wear them, so much hate. And I'm like,
Really?
no, guys, like jorts are it. Like,
They need to know that it's coming back. It's cool.
Thank you. If Tate McRae says so, I believe.
Perfect.
So the song, it's out today. I just got to come out of the gate here too and say it is such a banger.
Oh, thank you.
Like leading up to this song, it's a good one when someone teases a song weeks before on TikTok.
Yeah.
And like you're folding your laundry in your room, and you just got the TikTok out on replay. You know what I mean? Just
Really?
because that's all you can really hear because the song's not out yet.
Only
so
the
just
9 seconds.
yeah, literally. So like 100 of those views are just like me folding laundry in my room.
Thank
here.
you. I'm really excited. Sometimes the teasing, I'm like, okay, let's just like put the song
Yeah.
out. But yeah, I think it's gotten a really good response, and I'm just excited just 'cause it's a totally different sound for me. Like I've literally never done a beat like this before, like a vibe like this. I've never done like a pop chorus like this before, so it's very fun for
Are
me.
you like watching the TikToks as the song's leading up to come out? Like, are you seeing the hype?
I see a few of them. I try to like stay off 'cause I can go crazy on TikTok if I see too many videos. But I mean, they're like so funny. I feel like they're so creative, and it's just like cool to see how people like live reacting to your music. It's like I feel like because that can never happen before, like it's just cool. I can literally see like how people are gonna get it the second I post it.
The excitement firsthand.
100%. Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen this too, because on my particular feed, I feel like this song specifically of yours, like the boys are kind of taking it.
The boys are taking
The
it.
boys are taking
I
this
don't know. There's been so many TikToks where they're like, "Don't tell the boys," but I'm gonna be blasting this, and I'm like,
Yeah, like
Tell the boys.
Like the dude's friends on TikTok doing the same thing. I was like, yo, this one's like I'm seeing more guy content than normal.
which is good. Yeah.
So leading up to this, like it's been some time since you've come out with some music. So like, what
Yeah.
does that year look like for you? Like, what are you doing in the last couple of months?
Writing so many songs. I think one of my to a fault actually. I write so many songs. Like I think I wrote like hundreds. Like it was getting a little excessive where we were like, okay, we have to cut it off. Like I have nothing else to talk about. Like I'm just in the studio all day long talking about the same like 3 people.
Is this because like you feel like it's a job to write songs, or is this still just a release hobby to you?
Some days feel like I'm like, okay, I want to get something really particular. But most days I'm just like, I need to go in. Otherwise I can't just like sit in my apartment and do nothing. So I'll, I feel like it's like that's my hobby. That's like I'm like I need some other hobbies because I'm like all I do is like sit at my piano or like go to the studio. So I'm like maybe I should take up like pottery or something.
Are there times you force yourself to like do something aside from dancing or music? Like what does if you have a Friday night off, and you don't have any tour, any music going on, like what are you doing?
I'm either like hanging out with friends or like forcing myself to like read or something. like I genuinely don't have hobbies. So I'm like I need to figure that out in my life.
How do you force yourself to read? Like I try. Articles are fine, but like books it sounds dumb, but it's just so hard to focus
It's so
and sit
hard.
down and shut off for that much time.
Well, I'll find myself like going through like 6 pages and then I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even like read any of that. Like I just like am glossing through it, like not processing anything. It's a challenge, but it's good. It's like really good for you. So
That's what they say.
I'm trying to convince myself it's really good for me.
Can you tell us like the backstory? Like tell us the story of how Greedy came out.
Okay, we kind of wrote this in January, a long time ago. And I came in and I was like, I need a song that I can dance to. I mean, and that can like range from like
Especially for you, yeah.
oh my gosh, it can range from like club music to like I don't know. There's so many different beats, and I was like, I've been listening to like old Britney and old Nelly Furtado, and I'm like, what if we just like tried like an old like Timbaland beat and just like see what we could make to it. And then we started describing this whole scenario at like a bar, like a guy coming up to a girl and like being like, why are you so mysterious? Why are you so private? Why are you so closed off? And it was so fun. Like it was like we were just having a conversation, like talking to each other, me and Amy, who wrote the song. And then it just like came out. It was super cool.
I feel feel like confidence feels like it's a big factor in the song, and it's also like
Yeah.
your thing in general. But I feel like
Yeah.
with how much you have just sent your life out there in social media, like that can be hard
Yeah.
sometimes. Like, do
Yeah.
you think it's been easier to build confidence through social media or harder?
So hard.
Really?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I think social media is like so much false confidence because even me, like I look at my Instagram and I'm like, there's some times where I could post a picture and like not feel like that at all. And I think it makes it so hard. I mean, our brains are not wired to compare ourselves to thousands of people a day. And now with TikTok, it's like we're seeing people from like Texas and Sweden and like all around the world, and you're like, so many people are putting their best foot forward, including us. Like, and I think that's just like a really unrealistic world to live in.
So then what do you do? Like, what's your secret to like keeping that confidence then?
Honestly, staying off my phone as much as I can.
Really?
Oh my God. If I spend too much time on my phone, I go into a spiral. I think, it's figuring out if you like yourself on your own without your phone, without anyone around, like spending time by myself has been like crucial. Figuring out like what my actual taste in music is, what my actual taste in clothing is, and figuring out like what I actually like, without being affected by the rest of the world online.
Do you like look back at videos of you back when you were growing up and posting everything on social media and your YouTube
Yeah.
channel and all that? Are you ever looking at that? Like, if you could go back, would you change any of it?
Okay. There's a few videos on there.
All right, we're getting real.
There's a few videos where I'm like, okay, I did not need to say that. I was like 14 at the time. I was so dramatic, going through my really like rebellious teenage phase.
Everybody, though, like,
And I decided to document it and be like, dear parents, this is why I'm rebelling. And I think it was just like, there's funny things that I'm like, oh my God, like that's so cringy. But then again, I was like, also like 14-year-old me had the balls to like put out a song every week. And
and respect to it.
I kind of admire it. I'm like, oh, that's like cool. Like, I remember I was getting ripped on by my classmates every day at school, and I still posted every Friday. I'm like, I did not stop, which is so crazy.
Do you ever look back now and like see what those classmates are doing and like see what the reactions are to you?
I mean, I think now they like respect it because they're like, oh, you've grinded out for so long and now you're like actually doing what you love, and they're like, that's so sick. But it's like high school is such a judgy place. Like I just remember like being there being like, oh my God, like everyone's watching my every move, and then I'm doing this thing on the side where I'm posting my diary every Friday talking about my crush at school. Like a little bit like I'm like creating hell for myself. But I think like now they're like, you did it, you put yourself out there, and like there was no problem doing that. Like they didn't affect me in any way now. Like I feel like all it's done is gotten me to where I've dreamed of being.
I can't even imagine that too, because sometimes like my posts from whatever years ago will come out and it's
Yeah.
like Instagram or TikTok,
Uh-huh.
and I'm just like subtweeting some person in some class. Like, what am I doing? You
I
what
know.
mean? And it's like the smallest thing ever, and your whole life is out there. So it's like
Yeah.
interesting to see.
I don't know, honestly, the only time that I really regret posting things is when it's like not really like myself. Like when I'm like trying to be something else, or like I'm trying to be cool, or I'm trying to be like, that's when I'm like, okay, I should not have put that out there. But when it's like normal and like things that I like actually think about and care about, I'm like, oh, that's cool.
So when you put your phone away and you're like trying to listen to some music and stuff and kind of find out what your real interests are, like
Yeah.
at this moment right now, like what are you listening to?
What am I listening to?
Yeah, what's like a song you're into right now?
I listen to Latin music a little bit, even though I don't understand a word.
But it's the vibe or what?
It's the vibe. I don't know. I feel like I've been going through like old albums and stuff, like old neighborhood albums. Like just I listened to Bad Bunny in the car for like a couple hours. I had no idea what he was saying the whole time. I'm like, oh, the sound is really nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I bounce all over the place. I listen to country music all the time.
Is
Yeah.
it important during those times to like find people that feel like your friends and feel like they're your age, so you're not like caught up with the business side of the world all the time?
Yeah, for sure. It's like hard because LA is like filled with all people who are trying to do this.
I can imagine.
But I have so many. I'm from Calgary, Canada, so I feel like it's like a totally different world. And I have so many like super normal friends there.
Is it hard sometimes? Because I feel like, especially when you're on tour or you walk into a songwriting room or whatever, like there are
Yeah.
so many just straight up older people. You know what I mean? Who are just like
Right.
experienced in the industry. And then here you come, like a young artist who's had a lot of success so far. Like,
Thank you.
do you ever feel like it's difficult to get your opinions out, or are they usually pretty trusting in most of those situations?
It's been like a toss up. I feel like when I was younger, a lot of people, I'd get into sessions and people would be like, you don't know what you're talking about, or like they just wouldn't let me speak, or like any idea I tossed out was like horrible. And I think as I've gotten older, I've started to realize that I'm like, oh, the more I speak up, the more I actually like what I'm writing. I think it's just a confidence thing, because when I was younger, I remember it was just like constantly getting shot down for ideas. Like,
I bet.
it's such a grind. And then I feel like now it's getting a little easier because people obviously have written more songs and done more. But it was a challenge at first. And I think also like being a female too, it's like kind of intimidating walking into these rooms. Like I was like 17 walking into these rooms and then being like, write a song. And I'm like, oh my God, like what do I talk about? Like I don't want to come across as like too sensitive or too like emotional. And I'm like, that's where my best work comes from.
So what do you think like the secret was to fixing that? Like, was it just age, or was there something you had to tell yourself?
I mean, I'm constantly telling myself how to, you know,
Even still?
even
Affirmations
now.
are real? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, every day I feel like I'm like, okay, just remind yourself that you're like, do what you want to do and trust yourself. But yeah, it definitely is an age thing, I think.
So like these days, what's your favorite compliment to receive? Like if you're meeting somebody new,
You
like,
smell
what makes
good.
you feel good?
No, no. I think probably if it's something based on like a video I do, or like a performance, and someone says like you sound good, then I'm like, oh, thank you.
Really?
Yeah, I think that's like the best thing I can get.
So you got the tour coming up.
Yeah.
You've started it already.
Yeah.
So how's that been going so far?
So good. I mean, it's just like a very refreshing feeling coming out and like figuring out that you still have fans. Because, you know, I
I've
think,
seen them on TikTok. You forget that sometimes?
yeah, because it's so like doesn't feel like real. And you also feels like it can like go in like 1 second.
Even still.
And I think in real life, it's just like they're actual people, and it makes you like emotional on stage because you're like, oh my God, like you came to my show, you're standing here screaming every lyric. Like it's a very validating experience. And it's just like a very surreal experience.
So how many songs right now are you sitting on?
In like my whole life?
Okay,
or-
let's go the whole life first. Like how many do you think will never see the light of day?
I probably have like 1,000 songs that will never see the light of
Do
day.
you write them down specifically in a notebook? Is this a phone thing? Like,
Oh my gosh. I mean, a lot have been recorded. Like, I have so many songs just in my voice memos, in my photo booth that I'll write that are trash. I write so many trash songs.
trash to you, or like do you ever check them by somebody and they're like, oh yeah, you're right on that
So it's still trash.
one? Really?
You gotta write the trash ones to find the good ones. But yeah, I have so many songs. Even this year, like I've written like hundreds, and those were all like recorded too.
I wanted to ask you about this too. I just saw this TikTok. It was a while back, but of this AI version of you singing a Selena Gomez song.
Yeah.
Where did you even find that?
Okay, so a producer one time was like, oh, have you ever like heard your voice in AI? And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I don't think my voice is. And then I searched it up, and I'm like, oh my God, there's like a lot of videos of like me singing AI, and it was so weird because it's like it's you, but like not you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, is that what I sound
It
like?
does a really good job of like imitating it.
A really good job.
Even some of the comments were like, yo, like that kind of sound, like I wouldn't know the difference.
No,
you know?
the cadence, it's like super freaky because I'm like, oh my God, like that's how I would sing it.
So
Which
what
is
can
weird.
you tell us about the new music that's still on the way that you are going to release? Like, what can you share?
I think it's very diverse. I feel like it is a little more. I feel like when I wrote this album, it was me kind of leading with my intuition a lot and my like heart a lot in a non-cliche way. But I feel like I kind of just like threw myself into scenarios, and even if it like backfired, it was some of like the best feelings and relationships of my entire life, which I think like gave me like a very euphoric feel in a lot of songs. But yeah, it's like weird. I mean, being 19 and 20, I like want to talk about different things all of a sudden, and I want to just like, you know, show different sides of my personality.
And from what the world sees of you, like you are like straight up just chill to talk to in real life. You know what I
Thank
mean?
you.
Which is cool. But then I feel like you get in the writer's room and you write some like gut wrenching lyrics. Like, why is it easier to do that in there?
I honestly think it's because I am so like this in real life. There must be something down in there
We're not exploring.
that we're
it.
not exploring. I honestly just like hate talking about myself and my feelings. Like it really like irks me.
You are like gotta promote your music. You gotta do all the things. Like
But like feelings, like I would much rather like talk about other people's feelings and like
all day long.
analyze them and be like, oh, this is who you are. And I think for me, the only way I can do that is like if I write it down. Even if I were to go in a session with like a writer and they're to be like, how are you feeling? I'd be like, good. I would never like just explain my life story.
Right.
But I'd be like, I can like write about it.
And that's why it's easier for you to kind of dream up these scenarios because it's like not the real thing going on every time.
Right. Yeah. And it's, it comes from like I always say like God comes into the room and then it just like goes on the paper and you're like, okay, here it is. And I would never probably speak like that.
I love that. Well, show's on stage too. I'm so excited for
Thank
the live
you.
tour.
Thank
3D
you.
is out today. Tate McRae, thank you.
Thank you.